What's poppin', players? Welcome back to the Two Penny Gamescast, episode 190. I am your host, Tavin Bothel, here with my good friend and co-host. Say hello to the people, Connor Elliott.
Happy 190th episode.
We've done 190 weeks, Connor. We've been doing a pretty good job of it, too.
We have been.
Yeah.
Mostly consistent.
Mostly
Every
consistent.
now and then
Yeah,
things
you know,
happen.
sometimes I got to drop out. Like last week, I dropped out because I was sick. Thank you, Phil, for stepping in and helping Connor out with that one. Appreciate it. But yeah, last week I was sick. Still got a little bit of a cough thing going on, but I'm feeling much better now, so that's great. And I'm ready to talk about the news because this is, of course, the Two Penny Gamescast, where each week me and Connor come to you with two topics, two pennies, if you will, and we give you our 2 cents on them. You can find this show every Tuesday at 8 a.m. Central Time, youtube.com/@2pennygames, and mainstream podcast services of your choice. Just look up 2 Penny Games. Make sure to like, subscribe, review, follow on all of those platforms. You can also follow us on all of our social medias, including our TikTok page down in the description below. Some important things to note. This, at the end of this episode, will be the new, attached to it, rather, will be the new episode of the Two Penny Game Club, our monthly video game book club, in which we sit down and we rank and review a game of yore for our pleasure and sometimes not so much pleasure. This month was Fable, the first one. So that one's a review. You can also find the breakout review over on the channel right now. And next week, yes, I'm making it next week. It is finally our Final Fantasy VII Rebirth review. We're working our way through it. It's a big game, and we're getting close to the point to where we can talk about it. I'll say even 30 hours in, I'm not 100% ready to talk about it. Maybe you are getting close to that point, Connor, but I don't know. I'm not. Yeah, it's a big game.
It is.
There's a lot going on in it, you know. So hopefully one of us will have rolled credits by then. And that'll be it. Remember, you can watch us live over at twitch.tv/2pennygames every Monday, about 5 or 6 o'clock, depending on whenever I can get home, in which we record all of our shows live, the Piggy Bank reviews, the Gamescast. It's all here. Come join us live in the Twitch chat. We've had a busy Twitch chat today with I know. 008 has been in here. A1s has been in here. Einkun has been in here. Everybody's been in here. Come join us. It's a fun time. Good conversation. Please join. There's that cough I was talking about. Connor, how's your week been?
I got in a car accident. This is the second time I'm saying it. But this is, by the time you're seeing this, more recent than when you hear me say it on the piggy bank. I was not thinking of the name. Yeah, I got hit. And I'm fine. My car was not as fine. Didn't get totaled. Just caused me a lot of heartache. I'm sorry, not heartache. It was a pain in the ass for this whole week. But finally, it's all fixed.
Is it?
I think for now.
I haven't gotten the update on that, so I guess we'll figure that out. But no more waiting around, Connor. Let's get around to the news. Let's jump over to our first topic of the day. My first penny of the day. Layoffs and closures have been a thing that we've been talking about for a while on this show. Every week there's a new update, and this week is no different. We had at some point covered the fact that analysts were saying, hey, a lot of studio closures are probably going to happen this year, and it does seem to be that way. Deviation Games is shut down before it can ship a game in its PlayStation partnership. This is from IGN by Adam Bankhurst. Deviation Games, the studio formed by Call of Duty Zombies mode creator Jason Blundell and Treyarch veteran Dave Anthony, has shut down before it could ship out the game it was developing in partnership with PlayStation. The sad news was shared on LinkedIn by Deviation Games Chief HR and Operations Officer Christy Stull, who also said the team would be holding a network event to help those impacted by the studio's closure. Quote, "It is with a heavy heart that we announced the closure of Deviation Games," Stull wrote. Quote, "I want to express my deepest gratitude to our entire team. Thank you for all your hard work, dedication, and contribution to Deviation. I'm incredibly grateful for the opportunity to have worked with each and every one of you. To the entire video game industry, we will be hosting a networking event, and we would love for any/all companies/studios hiring to participate. Please reach out to me directly if you are interested in attending. To all deviators out there, we will always cherish the memories we made together. Thank you for being a part of our journey. Go get 'em." Deviation Games was revealed in June 2021, and Blundell and Anthony stated that they were working on a new IP that was very early in development. We still have yet to learn what that IP was, but Blundell did share a few words about their dreams of the project back in 2021. Quote, "We're drawing on what we've learned over our collective decades making games, but we're also out to make something fresh and brimming with innovation like you've never experienced before. We're not afraid to say that our ambitions are super high. We're setting out to make a huge, content-rich game with a focus on a lot of action and a lot of energy. But let's leave it at that for now, and hopefully it won't be long before we can share more."
Unfortunately, that will not come.
No, it will not come. This is a bummer. Deviation Games, you know, just based off of, you know, the staffing that they had, you would have assumed it would have been a first-person shooter of some kind. And you know, it's just kind of the way the industry is right now, which is not in a very good spot, where there's just no money going around to the people who need it, and you know, the people who have the money are kind of hoarding it and you know, not spreading it in the ways that they probably should. And this is a great example of that, of a studio that was formed you know, in the middle of the pandemic and was trying to do something new, and was a collection of people who had been burned by, you know, higher companies and publishers before, and were trying to figure out something new. And this is kind of the response to, there is a conversation happening online that I saw of a lot of people who don't know really what they're talking about, with all of the layoffs, saying, oh, well, at least this means we're getting a bunch of new studios with new IPs and new ideas. Yeah, that only works when there's money going around. And right now, there's no money going around. Nobody can find a publishing deal. Nobody can publish their games. You're seeing a lot of indie game devs struggle to make noise or make a splash right now because there's just no money for marketing. There's no money to get it onto a PlayStation, to get it onto an Xbox. It's just not there. And so this is a great example of, this would have been a AAA studio, you know, of making a really big game probably. And, you know, let's assume it would have been a great title, but we're not going to be able to see any of that, unfortunately.
This is all very strange because it's a studio where, you know, recently Deviation Games closed down, creators of Saints Row, a game that flopped, the new one. And so it makes sense. Like, it sucks, but hey, you know, you had this big game you were making, it didn't sell, it flopped. And with how the industry is going right now, a closure seems like it's a very possible thing. But in this case, they didn't even release their game under PlayStation.
They didn't get it out.
And they got axed.
Yeah.
You know, they didn't even have a chance to prove whether it is they're a game company that deserves to be a big developer. And I just can't help but think that this is once again another case of a studio being bought up by a larger.
Well, they weren't bought out. It was just a partnership.
It was a partnership.
Yeah.
Fair enough. But even so, you would think that'd give them more security, and it just didn't. And it justifies the story that we covered last week of multiple studios either getting sold. They were originally a part of Embracer, that being Saber Interactive, and Gearbox, which is still up in the air about whether it's going to get sold, but it's on the track to do so. Toys for Bob, they went independent. And you even had Remedy gain the rights to Control and all of the games associated with that IP. And so you see this deviation from what we've been seeing these past couple of years of the big boys propping up all of these smaller studios, sometimes being in a partnership, sometimes buying them up. And clearly that's not something that brings stability, because even then, especially with Embracer, it's tenuous on whether people are going to be able to keep their jobs, let alone, you know, have their studio stay open. And you had mentioned there's no money going around. It should be noted, video games consistently make money, and yet we consistently see these layoffs happen. Partly because of the pandemic changing things up and people getting ahead of themselves, hiring people that they just couldn't sustain as the market dropped. But it's still pretty ridiculous. Continue it.
Well, I mean, it's that, but it's also just the sign of the times changing, man. Like, what worked before is not working anymore for a bunch of reasons. And it mostly, I would assume, it's because of bloat. A lot of these games are bigger than they need to be. They're more detailed than they need to be. I'm not kidding when I'm saying, as a gamer, I'm fine with a game not looking that great and being 10 hours shorter. Like, that's okay. The Last of Us Part 2 doesn't need to be a 20-hour adventure. You know, you could shave 5 to 10 hours off of that game and put it out and still meet that critical acclaim. Remember when we got an entire Uncharted trilogy and the first Last of Us in one console generation from Naughty Dog? Yeah, those times are over. Like, and it's kind of ridiculous that now we got 2 games last generation. We haven't gotten one this one. And so now it's kind of ridiculous that just how long it takes for these publishers to make these games. Their output is becoming less and less, and that means for every year you go without putting out a game, that's another year you go without making money, which is what the problem is here. So when in the PS3 generation, when Naughty Dog can put out 4 critically acclaimed games that everybody goes out and buys and enjoys, and then they go down to 2 games, and then they go down to 1 game, and and then so now people want to sit here and criticize every time they put out a remaster or a remake or whatever. It's because they need money, and that's a quick way to get it. Do I like it that way? No, not particularly. Is the final product worth it? I wouldn't say so. But we need to find a way to where we can put out smaller games that cost less and keep with a level of success. Because clearly, we the PlayStation layoffs happened last week, right? And I couldn't cover it, or is that the week before? Yeah. So clearly, Spider-Man 2 selling 10 million copies really fast and becoming PlayStation's most successful game ever isn't enough to spare these studios from the layoffs that are needed. Now, granted, there's 100 other reasons as to why people are getting laid off, as opposed to, say, some executives, getting a 10% pay cut or something like that. And the industry desperately, I would say, needs unionization, and we just need to find a better way forward. But yeah, this is an example of like it's taking too long to make these games and it's costing too much to make them. So even studios that look promising can't get their first game out, and it just fucking sucks.
At this point, it's basically, for me at least, become a matter since unionization doesn't seem to be in the conversation almost at all. I mean, people obviously call for it, but there's no movement.
What's happening? We just saw the Raven Studios QA team unionized this last week. No.
It was last week when it finally went
I
into
think
effect.
so. Yeah.
But see, that's kind of the pathetic thing, because every single time we talk about unionization in the games industry, we have to go back to this story that broke almost how long ago now? A while ago. And, it's nice when it first broke, but then as time passes on and there's no other movement elsewhere.
These things take time.
They do take time, but we're not even hearing movement at other studios right now. We just get layoffs, and now we're getting to the point where we're seeing studio closures. I'm at this point just, hoping the storm is over in a little while and we see the adapting to the new way games are made, so we don't have this situation happen in the near or distant future even.
I mean, we have to find some way, because what's happening right now is killing the industry.
Yeah,
and we're on a path right now to where, like, man, it doesn't matter. Like, video games as a medium might die. Like, it's that severe because something's up with the money, or things are not working the way they should. The machine is not working anymore. We need to figure out how to get the machine to work again. So it's complicated, and it's difficult and frustrating, and I just wish there was an easier way to say something, and I wish there was something new that we could say every week when we have to talk about these things. But it is just the regurgitation of the same exact conversation, but it's important that we keep having the conversation.
Better than being silent.
Exactly.
Just doing nothing.
Moving on to topic number 2, Connor, your first your first penny of the day. Go ahead and take it away, my friend.
Unfortunately, more bad news. This is from Variety. Akira Toriyama, Dragon Ball manga creator, dies at 68. This was a story that broke on March 7th, 2024. By J. Kim Murphy. Typically, we don't see that name.
Well, we don't also usually pull Variety articles, which is what we pulled today.
We do not, no. Akira Toriyama, the highly influential Japanese manga artist who created the medium-defining franchise Dragon Ball in the 1980s and shepherded its growth as it became a global phenomenon, died March 1st due to an acute subdermal hematoma. He was 68. Toriyama's death was confirmed by the official Dragon Ball website, which posted a statement honoring the creator on Thursday evening. Quote, "It's our deep regret that he still had several works in the middle of creation with great enthusiasm. Also, he would have had many more things to achieve. reads the statement from Bird Studio, which includes the disclaimer that it has been machine translated. Quote, "He has left many manga titles and works of art to this world. Thanks to the support of so many people around the world, he has been able to continue his creative activities for over 45 years. We hope that Akira Toriyama's unique world of creation continues to be loved by everyone for a long time to come," end quote. Toriyama found early success in the manga industry with the creation of the popular Dr. Slump series in the late 70s, winning a Shogagukan manga award in 1981 and supervising 2 subsequent anime adaptations. However, that acclaim was nothing compared to Dragon Ball, a continuation of his kung fu movie-influenced Dragon Boy one-shot. First published as a serial in 1984, Dragon Ball has grown to become one of the best-selling manga series ever. It is also credited as popularizing the medium of manga across the globe, further bolstered by its various anime adaptations, enduring audience in Western countries. An artist who largely worked outside the public spotlight, Toriyama's work extended beyond Dragon Ball throughout his life, especially after taking a smaller creative role with the property in the 90s. His other credits include various one-shot manga runs, as well as character designs for video game classics like Chrono Trigger and the Dragon Quest series. Toriyama returned to Dragon Ball in the 2010s, with the manga artist receiving a screenplay credit on the film Dragon Ball Z: Battle of Gods. Then the first Dragon Ball feature adaptation in nearly 20 years. He had stayed involved with the property throughout its recent run of film productions, including the most recent 2022's Dragon Ball Superhero. A private funeral service has already been held for Toriyama's family. He is survived by his wife, Yoshimi Kato, and their 2 children.
Yeah, this is unfortunate and disappointing, and you know, kind of upsetting. And you know, salute to Toriyama and all the work that he did. I'm not personally a big fan. You probably are. No, not so much,
and as a
but,
matter of fact, my opinion on Dragon Ball has been, I've always thought it being kind of overrated with how much people like it. But what is not overrated at all, as this article goes over, is his impact on manga and anime, which, as a lover of those mediums, I respect him a great deal because of how much he did for it. And then in our line of work, talking about video games, his art style, credited to Chrono Trigger, Dragon Quest, and of course Dragon Ball, is one of those art styles that when you see it, you immediately know who it is. Even if you don't know his name, which he was so well known that you had people like Emmanuel Macron come out and recognize his passing and pay homage to him.
Yeah.
I believe you had the Venezuelan government or some South American government of some kind do the exact same thing.
Couldn't tell you.
Yeah, when you have, leaders of the world, acknowledging your passing and noting how sad it is, that's a legacy that very few people could ever hope to achieve. And he was able to do so.
Phil from the Peanut Gallery here. When you have the cartel take a time off of violence anytime a new art drops.
Was that?
Okay.
I don't think that was true.
Can you not spoil what is a meme for that? Come on.
Oh, I didn't know.
Anyway.
All right, so back to the serious news show here, Philip. Thank you.
Hey, fuck y'all. Dragon Ball Z rules. It's not overrated. So there you go.
I didn't say that. That was not out of my mouth. No, but yeah. Speaking to the impact and to the influence of Toriyama, like you don't have to go far to see it in everything in video games. I mean, Final Fantasy VII. Cloud Strife looks straight up like some characters out of Dragon Ball.
The hair,
the hair and well, just like the design, his original design with the purple and the red sash and everything. Like that's,
I haven't seen that.
No, he straight up looks like a Dragon Ball character. Yeah, it's impressive.
I can imagine.
And so, you could throw a rock and find someone that Toriyama has influenced and so forth. So it's important to just pay tribute to the artists and the OGs of industry and so forth. And when unfortunate stories like this happen, you just gotta make sure you take your time and a quick moment of silence for them and so forth, and make sure that respect is paid, because without their work, we'd be in a very different place, visually, artistically. I mean, even as like you can see the influence even in as recently as like Sea of Stars last year. You can clearly see the influence in from Toriyama's work in that game. So it just it's an ever present thing, and it the probably, one of the leading pioneers in what you would describe as like the anime boy look, with like just the spiky hair and the, different colored hairs and so forth, and just really animated characters and things like that. So, rest in peace. Thank you. The work lives on, obviously.
Are you able to check Shodoc?
Yeah. What happened here? What did you do?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
He's
damn.
Yeah, that's, who is this character? I don't know this character.
That is Teen Gohan.
Teen Gohan. Phil's put it in here, and you can find a comparison thing real quick. Oh, show it on screen? I can't show it on screen.
I was just checking, but it's more for you guys. But if you wanted to show it on,
so Cloud straight up looks like this character. Like it's almost one for one. So, and Dragon Ball games are fairly big in this industry. Dragon Ball Fighter Z and the Super Games, is that what it's called? I forget what the other franchise is called. There's another major franchise. But yeah, so salute to Toriyama. Thank you for all you contributed. Rest in peace.
Indeed.
A little less respect due in combination with our next story, Connor, which is in fact topic number 3. My second penny of the day. Warner Brothers to move away from AAA games, now focused on live service. We are pulling an Insider Gaming article from Tom Henderson. Excuse me. In a recent Morgan Stanley speaking event, Warner Bros. Has said that going forward, its strategy will focus on more live service, mobile, and free-to-play games. Excuse me. Warner Brothers Discovery Gaming boss J.B. Perret said on the company's future strategy, quote, "We're doubling down on games as an arena or as an area where we think there is a lot more growth opportunity that we can tap into with the IP that we have and some of the capabilities we have on the studio where we're uniquely positioned as both a publisher and developer of games. Rather than just launching a one-and-done console game, how do we develop a game around, for example, a Hogwarts Legacy or Harry Potter that is a live service where people can live and work and build and play in that world on an ongoing basis," he continued. The move does come somewhat of a surprise, considering Harry Potter Hogwarts Legacy was 2023's best-selling title, which is the first time a game has dethroned Call of Duty or a Rockstar game in over 15 years. By the end of 2023, Hogwarts Legacy achieved a sales milestone of 22 million copies sold, and if that's not good enough, what is? In late 2023, Insider Gaming exclusively reported that Warner Brothers currently does have a live service Harry Potter game in development named Quidditch Champions. The game is a twist on the very popular Rocket League, where players need to score a ball in hoops, but does offer fluid and fast-paced gameplay that does have a skill gap that players could come to enjoy. Come on!
Yeah.
Come on! Warner Brothers continuously just being the worst publisher in games right now. Just completely awful. And I don't understand how you look at the state of the industry and where we're at right now. And you look at all the layoffs and all the closures that we've already talked about on this episode of the show as well. How you look at all of that. You look at the trend for AAA gaming. You look at the failure of live service gaming as a whole. I mean, WB, you just had a game flop with Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. And now you're out here selling, you're trying to sell Harry Potter to us? Man, shit's not going to work. It's done. It's dead in the water. Helldivers 2 is working. Congratulations for Helldivers 2. But let's see where that game is at in a year. Probably not going to be, topping charts anymore. I would surmise a guess. Maybe I'm wrong. Hopefully I'm wrong, because Helldivers 2 is awesome and we love it. But now we have to sit here and look and think about what the future of all this is. You just sold 22 million copies with a single player open world video game that a lot of players really loved. I played it, didn't love it, didn't think it was that great. But I could see where there's room for improvement for a sequel to be the Harry Potter game that everybody wants and loves and so forth. That is an IP that the fan base is hungry for to get new iterations into this franchise and so forth. And like, Hogwarts Legacy wasn't an awful game. I didn't think it was that great, but it appeared on a lot of people's top 10 lists. It appeared on a lot of people's top 3s. You know, if not game of the years. I think it's a little crazy. But, you know, it happened. Like, people played it and people loved it, and you made a bunch of money off of it. Why is that not good enough? What do you mean you don't want a one and done? How about you get a game from a developer every 3 years, and that allows you to continue working in this business? Hey, you just wasted one of your most talented dev studios, Rocksteady, for 9 years, making them make a game that they are not equipped to make. And guess what? It came out and it sucked, and everybody hated it.
Complete greedy asshole idiots. I mean,
even where this news is being broken from the Morgan Stanley speaking event. This is a business event.
Yeah.
This has nothing to do with video games. Like,
I mean, you know, one of the things that happened recently, and people who are active on social media might have heard of it, there was a Wile E. Coyote film versus Wile E. Coyote versus Acme. It was
Yes.
like a lawyer movie.
it's like a Roger Rabbit inspired
Yes.
movie where Coyote is taking Acme to court. Yeah.
It got very lambasted because they just completely canceled it, probably for a tax write-off, and they wouldn't even sell it to somebody else. And people were very upset. And it's because that's the way they view these things, as whatever makes them the most money. And even when that's their goal, sometimes you're going to be wrong. This is one of those cases, but it just shows you that they think there's a lot of money there, and so that's what they're chasing, regardless of the logic around it.
Well, let's not like piddle paddle around the issue. There is a lot of money in live service. That's why Fortnite is what it is. That's why Call of Duty is doing what it's doing right now. And what's another one? No Man's Sky, Grand Theft Auto 5. Like, everybody wants to be GTA 5. Everybody wants to be FIFA Ultimate Team. But the thing is that not everybody can be those things.
But we're also seeing a deviation from those being a surefire hit to it's tenuous. I mean, you had Marvel's Avengers at the same time that failed. You have Destiny 2
Another
that's going by
example
the wayside.
of putting a dev studio that doesn't know, that isn't equipped for that type of game in and making them make it a Marvel's Avengers. Yeah, that game's gonna flop because, of course, it is.
Yeah.
But if you give that to a dev studio who is passionate about it and wants to make it, I mean, you can bring up how Destiny 2's sales are low, but that's probably because the last expansion they put out wasn't received the best. Probably because they didn't give it enough time to cook in the oven and had to put it out for probably, stock reasons or whatever, or tax reasons and so forth. They had to put something out. But like these are examples of like, hey man, when the going's good, it's really good. But when it's bad, it's really fucking bad, and it's not worth the risk. You can't tell me that another Arkham game from Rocksteady focused around Batman would not have sold way more and been received way better than a Suicide Squad. Even if it was like the worst Arkham game that Rocksteady had put out, of the trilogy, and this fourth game wasn't as good as the others. It still would have performed better than Suicide Squad, I would wager. And so now I don't understand how you walk away from 2023 with Hogwarts Legacy being the biggest selling game of the year, and going into 2024, Suicide Squad flopping as hard as it flopped, and your lesson that you learned from that is that you need to double down on that, doesn't make any sense.
Going back to the Wile E. Coyote film, people showed an interest in that. And
Yeah.
rather than salvage it and say, okay, we're going to release it.
Word
they
is
didn't
the
even do
movie's
that.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone said that, and they still just continued doing what they did. I don't think when you have such a mind for making money, you sometimes ignore that focusing on the creative aspect of a game or a movie or whatever can be the path to making money. But because these are not the kinds of people that think about those things, you pointed out this was from a corporate talking, fucking like a room full of corporate heads.
Yeah.
Who knows? I don't know. I've never fucking heard of any of the things he was talking about specifically. I mean, they don't give a shit. And so that's what it's motivated by, money. And it throws any kind of evaluation of what makes games good nowadays out the window. I hope it, on one hand, I hope it bites them in the ass because I don't want them to make money, but you know that they're still going to be rich, the people who made these decisions, and we're going to see, as we've always seen, the blowback happen to the developers, despite them just getting handed the shit deck. still get screwed.
It's extra crazy seeing this happen. And just a few years ago, WB was looking to sell off its entire gaming division.
Yeah.
Like,
all over the place.
Dude, to be a fly on the wall in those conversations, to see what kind of offers were being thrown around that to where they think they should, actually, let's keep this and see what's going on. Obviously, probably wouldn't have sold the IPs. So Lord of the Rings, Harry Potter, DC Comics, all of these things still would have been under their reign. But like for them to just make a complete turnaround. And now Multiverses is coming back and nobody cares. Nobody cares. Multiverses was a good game too, but nobody cares.
And people already have a sour taste in their mouth because they charged for that game and seemed to be, putting all the support behind it that they could muster. And then they came out and said, "Oh, we're gonna take it off the store." And
did we buy that game?
I didn't buy it, but other people did. No, it wasn't a buying of game, but buying things within the game.
Oh, cosmetics and so forth. Gotcha.
Which it pushed those a lot, and then it just nixed it.
Well, I would assume when the game comes back, you can still have those. I would assume,
but still, it kind of upsets when you're paying for a product in that moment, and then it just completely takes it away.
They just take it away.
Yeah,
it's frustrating, and it's gross, and I'm sick of seeing it, man. And I don't understand how could we not be any louder? How can we not be voting with our wallets anymore? Like I just don't understand how you come to this conclusion. How do you get here from there? That it doesn't make any sense to me. Like, even from a business perspective, like, yeah, sure, you can still look at your Fortnites and be like, wow, they're making a bunch of money over there. But look at what you've produced so far and go, oh, it's just not going to work.
Yeah.
Like, or the risk of it is not worth it. Like, and to see, like, just expand your thing. PlayStation was going all in on live service. Now they're pulling back. The industry as a whole doesn't want this. This is not where we're going. So why are you insistent on making it that way? I don't know.
We'll see how this works out for him. Bold move, Cotton, all that.
Fortunately, Connor, we're not going to end on such a low note. In fact, we're going to end on a bit of a high note. Because our fourth and final topic of the day, your second penny of the day, is a bit of a good one. So let's jump into that.
We got an article from Automaton. Capcom announces big starting salary increase, bonuses, and raises to existing staff. This is from writer Ayu Kawase.
That's what I would do.
Yep. Capcom announced that they will be raising their starting monthly wages for new, freshly graduated, employees to 300,000 Japanese yen starting fiscal year 2025. The company's current starting salary is 235,000 yen, and the 65,000 plus increase will place them well above average entry wages in Japan. There's a tweet that I cannot read. Here's the translation of a tweet that they sent out. Never mind. According to the announcement, by raising starting salaries, Capcom hopes to attract talented personnel and promote investment in human resources. In recent times, Japan's video game companies are having an increasingly hard time securing game development staff, so Capcom's decision is likely a means to compete for talent. In conjunction with the increase of starting wages, Capcom will pay out special one-time bonuses to current staff. The company also plans to raise salaries by an average of 5% plus during fiscal year 2024. Capcom's performance in recent years has been very strong, as is evident from their financial results. In Capcom's financial report for the fiscal year ending on March 31st, 2023, the company reported 125.93 billion yen in sales and an operating income of 50.812 billion yen. Sales of their new titles as well as past titles have been stable, and the company has achieved significant growth by utilizing Steam and other new sales channels. It is also important to note that Capcom made similar revisions to wages in 2022 when they announced a 30% increase in annual salaries for full-time employees. This was a period during which many Japanese game companies were improving conditions for their employees due to the increased demand for video games following the COVID-19 pandemic. As the pandemic ceased, companies became divided in terms of performance, but Capcom's momentum seems to have remained strong throughout. Great.
Awesome. Hey, man. It's refreshing to get some good news out of this industry for once. And I think it's a great example of Capcom's been doing it right for a couple of years now, right? Like they're on a hot streak with Resident Evil. Street Fighter 6 was met with glowing praise and success. And Monster Hunter has hit new heights that was previously unseen or unimaginable for the franchise. So the commitment to the artist, the commitment to the workers improving their conditions led to more profits. Funny how that works, WB. And now we've got classic title after classic title hitting us in the modern era, that from a company and a publisher that once upon a time was thought of as scummy and money hungry and cheap. You know, you look at how they performed during the 7th generation of consoles. You know, Resident Evil 5 and 6, Street Fighter 5 was not received well. You know, Monster Hunter was tiny. You know, and Devil May Cry got rebooted to hell to fit current, you know, pop culture trends and so forth, and that it just didn't work. None of it was working. So they went back to their roots. They said, hey, let's focus on design, let's focus on art, let's have developers who are passionate about what they're building. And when you fucking know it, Resident Evil is better than it's ever been. Street Fighter is back to being excellent. Monster Hunter hit, you know, crazy highs off of Monster Hunter World, and then obviously the Rise games were very, very successful. And then well, I guess Devil May Cry is still kind of dying on the branch after DMC5, but you know,
that's their decision, it seems, rather than
right. It just seems like they don't have anything else to say about Devil May Cry, so they're moving on from that. But like, you know, you just look around at what Capcom's doing right now, and you can't help but feel like, oh man, this is great.
Now, something about Japan is that I'm aware that the work culture over there is god awful.
Yeah.
Like, it's bad. You work, I think the average is 60 hours a week. People sleep at the office. It's a hard place to work.
Right.
But they do things like this to somewhat offset that. I brought it up a lot of times. Nintendo, back a couple years ago, when they were going through some harder times, the executives took a cut to their pay to prevent them from laying off any workers. And so while the work culture is bad in many ways, it also seems to not be so willing to cast aside their workers, because we don't really see a lot of Japanese-based companies go through all of these layoffs. You know, I mean, I can't really think of any.
I mean,
off
it
the top of my
happens.
head.
It still happens,
of course.
but yeah,
you don't see them en masse as you do with a lot more of the Western.
I mean, we just
game
saw it with
companies.
Sony, with PlayStation Studios, you know, losing, and what studio just got closed over in the PlayStation side?
It was PlayStation. It was one of their
I've forgotten. I can't remember right
It's
now.
like PlayStation Studio or something like that, or PlayStation.
It wasn't Japan Studios.
What?
It wasn't Japan Studios.
No,
it
it
was
was something else.
Anyways, I hate that I'm drawing a blank on that right now.
I know. I should have known that too.
You should have seen me last week, Connor. I was sick in bed, but I was cursing at the ceiling, reading all these news headlines and so forth. I was ready to shoot off. Anyways,
cough.
But I mean, I think people are voting with their wallet, and it shows. Capcom has been putting out great single player titles, for the most part, in combination with multiplayer titles where it makes sense. And their strategy and their tactics have been paying off. Capcom has been one of the better publishers for the last 5 years now, 6 years now. They've been kicking a lot of ass, and I want to see more of it, and I'm continuously excited to see what Capcom has up their sleeves. And the turnaround from a decade ago, where that wasn't the case, and we weren't excited from what Capcom was putting out, is something to take note of, and hopefully we can all find this turnaround and find a better way to exist and find a better balance here between the money and the art. I think Capcom's obviously found it.
For now, at least. Hopefully this doesn't change down the line, but for now, especially in the time we're in, good news.
Good news.
Good break.
Yeah, which is nice. Ladies and gentlemen, that is going to be it for the news segment of the Two Penny Games cast. We are going to jump right into our review of Fable for the Two Penny Game Club. Make sure you stick around for that. Let us know how you felt about the stories today, and make sure you like, subscribe, share, and follow, all of that great stuff. Until next time, have a great time. And Connor, say goodbye to the people.
Goodbye, everyone.
You don't know what camera you're on, do you?
I don't.
Even though you were just looking in that direction.
I thought you changed. I was waiting for you to change it.
I didn't change it. Or I changed it to the wide for the outro, you know? Bye. What's poppin', players? Welcome back to a Two Penny Game Club, your monthly video game book club in which I, your host, Tavin Bothel, alongside my good friends, say hello to the people, Connor Elliott.
Hello. My name is... Come on, man.
And Phil Shoemaker.
Hello.
Hello.
I'm also here.
We come to you once a month with the Two Penny Game Club, where we rank and review video games of yours selected upon us by the Great Wheel. This month's episode is Fable, the first one. We all played what is it called? The Legendary Anniversary Edition. On Steam. That's the one we played. So a little bit better visually, but it was the only one we had really access to. And there's some like extra content in it, right?
Yes.
I played the Anniversary Edition on my Xbox.
Oh,
good for you.
I don't know. You played it back in the day.
Yeah.
Huh. Well, now we know that.
What got added? Do you know?
Wait, what's that?
What got added content-wise?
Did you go to the Frozen area where you fought the dragon?
Frozen area where you
after you beat Jack of Blades, it's like, here's this next thing.
The whole epilogue bit?
Yeah.
Okay. So the part where the game then drags on too long.
Yeah.
Awesome.
That was all DLC.
All added on. Fantastic.
Also, I knew there was other ones that allowed you to own a brothel, and that's all I know. There's definitely other things.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, Fable came out originally September 14th, 2004. It currently has an 85 on Metacritic and sold around 3 million copies worldwide. Phil, I saw a hand go up. Did you have a question or?
No, sorry, I was doing 2004.
Oh, got it.
See, I got to correct you on this, Tavin.
Yeah.
That is Fable 2004, not Fable Anniversary. For some reason, I've looked this up.
Came out
You're going to find
2014.
a different rating for that. On
No,
Anniversary.
I went for the original one intentionally.
But it has the Frozen stuff, the Frozen Wasteland.
All right, let's get into it here. Fable, meh, right? Just kind of meh.
I'll say trying to get through my playthrough was a bit like pulling teeth. There were so many other things I wanted to do.
So many other things I wanted to do. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Persona 3 Reload. There's so many greater RPGs that you could play and spend your time with. No, this one's a hard skip. You don't need to play this one at all.
Yeah.
To get into my full review of it, man, it's just meh. The video game, man. This is a game that is entirely stuck on its gimmick of being good or evil, which in 2004 is novel, but like immediately like got old as soon as I like put my hands on controller on this game. And it doesn't help that the combat is bland as shit. Really just pretty boring and repetitive and nothing really interesting happening in it at all. Dialogue is severely underwritten. Plot is severely underwritten. There are times where I'm not even sure what I'm doing. They're just saying, go fight the big evil. So I go and I fight the big evil. All it's like little like relationship systems and stuff. Like there's no enticement to do it at all. The economy is broken immediately. You can get the strongest weapons in the game in like the first 5 hours of the game and then never change it up ever. And overall, like, this is just an experience that I could have gone without, and I'd never want to do it again. So yeah, Fable was a big meh, just a big meh for me. Connor, how are you feeling about it?
The game has charm to it to a certain extent. The problem is that charm doesn't extend past the first 3 hours. After a bit, you're just like, okay, I get what I'm doing. I don't have experience with this game, but I did have experience with a review that I had watched multiple times from a YouTuber named Seth Zintach. And I had, from that, known what abilities I was going to get. Time stop, assassin dash, where you jump behind somebody else, and something else, multi-attack. With those abilities, I was able to breeze through this game.
Yeah, multi-attack breaks the game.
It does. And this is a good thing. Usually it'd be a criticism, but it does kind of let you curb the more boring aspects of the game, which, as you said, Tavin, is combat. It's a lot of button pressing. I pressed that same, what was it, the X button? Over and over and over again. Sometimes I would press RB or something like that, whatever did the abilities to do the abilities. Mm-hmm. And I would rinse, wash, repeat for about 10 hours until I beat the game. That quirkiness, as I was mentioning before, the side quests have them, but the main quest is kind of completely devoid of them. It's a very bland, boring narrative that, as you said, just jumps from point to point like on a checklist. The villain is a guy named Jack of Blades. Spoiler alert. I don't know who the hell this guy was, and everyone talked about him.
Dude, he just showed up. Like, yeah. Who is this guy?
Like, this Jack of Blades. I can't fight him. Like, why can't you? What's so special about this guy? There was
supposedly some big legendary hero in the past, and
very, it's like, yeah, he's a villain, but he was a hero, and that's that. The side content that you can do in the game, it's really all just to affect your morality, which is a part that this game seems to advertise a lot, but I never felt any need to really interact with it beyond what it put in my path during the main story.
Does it go anywhere? Is there... well, let's start with this. What path did you guys go, good or evil?
That was the thing. I was going to go...
I was a good boy. I
was also a good boy. I just felt no reason to be evil. And granted, like, maybe this is just me and the type of gamer I am, but like I initially went in and I was like, I wouldn't mind being evil in this one. And then immediately I was like, I don't wanna. Like, it's just being mean. Like, I understand that's what evil is, but like, it's just like, I don't feel the benefit other than I'm just fucking everybody over.
That's kind of where I'm at with it too, where like you don't feel any kind of benefit to being evil. You just like, maybe if you're like a kid and you're like, oh, this guy is accosting me because I did something naughty.
Yeah.
I did something naughty.
Well, you guys didn't kill people? Innocent people?
No.
Well, technically they weren't innocent because they were mean to me.
I'll be honest, I didn't even kill that many enemy NPCs. I just ran past most of them.
With time stop?
Yeah.
No, just ran past them. Didn't even care.
There were moments in that game, in the story, where they throw enemies at you.
Yeah.
You just press time stop or time slow down. You just blaze through it.
And that's probably my other thing. Magic as a whole, completely useless. Totally, like, has no purpose at all. I had the electricity. I had multi-attack. I don't even remember the third one I had attached to myself because I never used it because everything just seemed so weak in comparison to just swinging the sword. And I would just, spam multi-attack on boss fights that were giving me a little bit of trouble. I don't think I died in this game, like actually died and had to reload a checkpoint until like somewhere near the end where like they just like ramp up the damage numbers and you go, all right, I guess this is like a challenge, but it's not. It's just frustrating. And yeah, I didn't care for this game much at all. Phil, how were you on it?
Very much in agreement with you. This is a game that I remember enjoying a lot as a kid. I think originally hopped in Fable 3 when they had it for free for gold.
As did I. I remember that.
So I think that was like the first free with gold thing that they were doing. Because I remember talking with friends because we were all like, hey, is this some sort of glitch where they're giving this game out for free? So yeah, then they rolled out the whole, you can get free games every month with gold. Anyway, that game, I believe, critically is the worst of the three.
Which is wild because to my memory, I had a good time.
Yeah, me too. Yeah. But, simpler times. And, speaking of simpler times, this game, when it came out, I remember everyone talking about and everyone loving. And I too, am among that ilk. But revisiting it 20 years later, there's just so many other... I said it earlier, there's just so many other things I would rather be playing. Like, yeah. And it's not even just because... not even just because this is an old game. There's just games that do what Fable was trying to do a lot better.
Yeah. And I think to that point, we've played games on this list and in this series where it was a bit of a drag to get through. It was a bit of a drag to get through games like Uncharted 1 again. But yeah. I wasn't hating my time while I was doing it. And I wasn't hating my time while I was doing it for Fable here. But here with Fable, it was just constantly a drag. And I could not shake the feeling of, man, I would rather be doing literally anything else right now. Not a bad game by any means. Its systems work in the way that they want it to work. And it does have that charm that Connor's talking about. But just constantly throughout the entire adventure, I would go, I can't care. I want to care, but I can't care.
Yeah. You mentioned the relationship aspect. Similar to the morality one, it's pretty much already whatever you want it to be just by going through the main campaign. Before I was even done, I was loved by everybody. Which is funny because I did some bad things. But the main story beats, it just felt, for the most part, easier to do the good options than to do the difficult ones. It was only to the the DLC where I really became evil, because you would basically you had to like unlock this door and you had to get people's souls, and it was like, hey, you can either go get this soul from the arena, or you can
go fight in the arena again.
Yeah, which I didn't. I just killed Thunder because he was an asshole. And then after that,
I wish I had.
yeah, you should have. It made it way more easy.
Yeah.
And then it's like, hey, go to
douchebag.
this other location to get your mom's soul, because she'd be willing to sacrifice herself. And meanwhile, she's just like, you're mean to me when you first met me, and now you're making me waste more time on this game, so I killed her. The only person I didn't kill was the master.
Your mom?
No, the lady who's giving you the quest, like this random other hero lady.
Oh yeah,
Kill her as well.
When did she show up? She just like popped up. Maybe I wasn't paying attention, but like she was just there all of a sudden, and I was like, I don't know what's going on in this game.
Yeah, it just really was just like they had a piece of paper.
Yeah.
They had the points to follow, and then that's what they did.
And then the
letter.
the generic like choice to turn Jack of Blades into just a giant dragon monster thing. I was like, come on,
Very
man.
weird, yeah.
Yeah. I just
Like, oh, it's the final boss. It's got to be a big dragon. It's got to be a
Literally.
big enemy you got to swing at, right?
I will say, I just need to tack on this before I forget
Yeah.
about the combat. You see, from my perspective, there's two types of ways I can really not like combat in a game. It's one like Last of Us Part 2, where I like the core of the combat, but it goes on for so long that at a certain point, any value that it has kind of left me, and I'm just waiting for the narrative to play itself out, because the gameplay itself has tired me up to a certain point. And then you have games like, what's one? Let's go with Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines. It doesn't have good gameplay, objectively. I personally like it, but I can say it doesn't have good combat, I should say. Yeah, but I found at least charm with that, and the shortness of the game itself makes it to where the combat doesn't really, get on my nerves by the time I'm finished with the game. Fable is like that as well. Fable, the combat's not that fun. It's not that great. It's meh, as Tavin has said this whole game is. But the length of the game, as long as you don't spend a lot of time doing all of the other side content, isn't going to make you as brain dead and wanting to shoot yourself as something else might. Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines was a bad example for me, because I actually take a lot of joy, like I said, in that gameplay. So name any other game that has bad gameplay and how much you hate it, whatever that might be. This game at least doesn't do that. It's able to end itself quickly before you really start, resenting what they're making you play through.
I think Shadow of the Colossus is probably a good example of what you're talking about.
Fair
where
enough.
like,
Yeah.
that gameplay kind of sucks, but
Yes.
it's a 5-hour game at most, and so like,
Yeah.
and it's more. The focus is on the art and on the impact and on the emotion it makes you feel. Whereas this one, like, they respawn enemies every time you re-enter a screen. So it's just like, why would I spend my time fighting these enemies and grinding them out? Also, I didn't do that much side content. I did maybe 2 hours of it, and I maxed out all the upgrades by hour 7 of the game. So now I'm sitting here and I'm like, you want me to go maybe another 20 hours doing all this extra side stuff for what? Why am I here?
play the game.
What incentive do I have to continue doing this? Why would I not just golden path the rest?
Exactly. No, 100%. And it's just what I ended up doing. Even though I do think the side content is the more enjoyable parts of the game. That's where
That's where the charm is.
yeah, that's where the charm is. That's where you start getting some interesting storylines and like some like fun, like the game starts making fun of itself, like type stuff, which is really, really actually quite enjoyable. But
It's super goofy, this game.
yeah, but for this review, we gotta go roll credits, and it's like, man, I'm gonna go do that as soon as I can, because I want to go and do literally anything else. The time of us playing this game and then the releases that are surrounding us right now, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Persona, Prince of Persia, etc. The list goes on and on. Like, that sucks for this game, but at the same time, I would rather pick up the sticks on a game I've played 7,000 times, like a Metal Gear Solid game again, than touch this game ever again.
Absolutely.
Like this game was a fucking snooze fest for me. Like literally,
I'll say-
literally yesterday, I was playing the game yesterday and to beat it, and I had to take a break because I was falling asleep in my chair. And I'm like, I need to stop. I need to go lie down, take a nap, do something else, like engage my brain in any way, just because this combat is just so repetitive and droll. Like meh.
Yeah. I'll say, I had what was I gonna say? Oh, I used to think of like Fable as like one of my like that was one of the things that I really was looking for like with Xbox back in the day. Like I really liked Fable. I was really disappointed with Fable Legends and how that never really panned out. And I was looking forward to the next entry, and I'm still curious as to what this next Fable game is going to be, but I feel like revisiting this original game, or rather the remaster of the first game, it kind of tarnishes the series for me. Like I don't know if I need more Fable.
Yeah, and that's what surprises me the most is this is a legacy Xbox franchise right here. Like this is like the what it goes Halo, Gears, Fable, right? Like pretty much in that order. Maybe a Forza or something is in there.
Perfect Dark.
Dark, Forza.
But like this is one of those ones that like you would buy an Xbox for. And it just you sit back and you look at the legacy of this title and go, man, this is what we're reaching for. This is what Xbox had. No wonder they never really kicked it off on the first party side outside of the Halo and the Gears, like even Gears of War 1, like when we went back and played it for hype, like I was very unimpressed with what I saw there. But yeah, so maybe a Fable 2 puts us in a spot that's a little more interesting here with the franchise, but I don't understand the hype for this thing. I don't understand why they would decide to bring it back if they are even still bringing it back. It's been a while since we've gotten an update for that game. Oh wait, no, we did have that trailer where they showed off the playable character and stuff, and everybody called her ugly.
We had we had it when they did the Starfield demo.
You're right. Yeah. So I don't know. This game, I don't even have much interesting to say about it, just because it's so bland.
I don't have experience playing any other Fable game. That's not true. I played a little bit of Fable 2. I watched my brother play it all the way through. I'm actually looking forward to playing that game because the feel of that in my head compared to this is exponentially better. It feels like a different game.
You think?
And I remember the first, the hook of the game was a lot more captivating back then than this ever could have been.
Well, and I'm curious if just the ability to just have some sort of agency and be, do you want to be good or evil? Like, I wonder how much is supposed to be carrying the experience for the time. But I think back on what Infamous 1 is 2007, 2008, somewhere around there. And they do way more interesting things with good and evil than this game ever does.
You know what, Tavin? I'll raise you one.
Yeah.
Deus Ex. 2000, I believe. You can tase a kid and throw his body in the river. You can crush people by jumping on them. You can do all manner of things. That came out 4 years before Fable did, and that's an even earlier example of it doing it better on every other level. So I don't even know back then how that was such a notable feature. I get it was quirky and whatnot, but enough to carry it the way Fable is talked about, I don't know. That kind of surprised me when I actually started playing through this game and I realized how bland it is.
Yeah. I just can't get over how magic is useless in this game. The ranged combat has moments where you're like, oh, okay, I can use my bow and arrow here. But for the most part, it's just run up to the guy, swing your sword, maybe try and get behind him if his defense is really good. But that's another thing. Because I played the game, did the tutorial, and then I put the game down, played some Final Fantasy, came back to it, played a little bit more. I forgot you could block. So I'm running around this game. I'm like, how the fuck do I block? They're blocking me. Surely I could block them. I totally forgot how. And then it wasn't until I was in the epilogue of the game where I was like, oh, right, that's how. Okay, great. And I'll also say the boss fights in this game are cheap as fuck. They just spam you with attacks, knock you down constantly. It's just frustrating. It doesn't feel well designed at all.
But Tavin, your issue is you weren't using Assassin Rush to jump behind the opponent and neutralize a lot of that annoyance.
Great.
It is a really good ability.
Yeah.
Cool.
He's not wrong.
Cool. That's amazing that I can press a button to make this bland ass game easier.
Yes.
Connor, I kind of want to touch on what you said earlier about how you're really looking forward to Fable 2.
Yep.
People like this first game more than any of the other ones.
Yeah, the first one is heralded as the best for some reason. I don't know why, but
That's weird because on from what I've heard, Fable 2 is the best one, and it has the best rating. It's
gotta be like a first impressions thing. Like this game just left a really good first impression for people, and so in their minds it's great. But like you go back and you're like, oof.
Fable 1, you're talking about?
Yeah.
Fable 2 has an 87 on Metacritic, and that's kind of more in the like. Obviously, this one had an 84, but I think 87 is kind of even when you factor in how people thought about games back then. Sometimes. An 87 is kind of getting to the point where, old games can be pretty good if they're getting that highly rated. But, I guess we'll have to play it and find out when we inevitably
if it ever happens. We'll see. So, ladies and gentlemen, I think that's about all we can run through when it comes to the Fable. So, it is time to rank this bad boy. Every month when we come together, we rank it amongst the other games that we've played in the series, in the list. And the list stands like this so far. We have 20 games currently. Number 20, Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze. Number 19, Prey. Number 18, Tomb Raider. Number 17, Batman Arkham Asylum. Number 16, Uncharted Drake's Fortune. Number 15, Halo Combat Evolved. Number 14, Shadow of the Colossus. Number 13, Mario 64. Number 12, Resident Evil 4. Number 11, Portal. Number 10, Resident Evil. Number 9, Chrono Trigger. Number 8, Dishonored. Number 7, Shovel Knight. Number 6, Portal 2. Number 5, Yakuza 0. Number 4, Hades. Number 3, Final Fantasy 7. Number 2, The Last of Us. And number 1, God of War Ragnarok.
Don't worry, Tavin. When this list gets a bit longer, we'll take turns. We'll stop and keep on going. That's already kind of it's annoying.
Hey, man, we're getting there, man. We've been doing the show for a little while now. Yeah. Phil, I want to start with you, buddy. Where are you at with this, and where you put it?
With our conversations here today, I think it comes as no surprise that none of the numbers on the list are going to change. We're just adding one. Number 21, Fable.
Phil says number 21. Connor, where are you at?
No, you go.
You know what? I'm right there with Phil. This is the bottom of the list for me. I didn't like my time with Prey. I would even describe Prey as a bad game, but like that one, at least I felt had a statement.
You felt something.
There was a design statement in that game, and even though I would personally like it to be below Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze, even if it was there, I'd still put Fable at the bottom, just because this is a bland nothing video game to me. There's
nothing burger,
it's empty calories in a bad way. Like there are empty calorie games in a good way, but this is it in a bad way. And yeah, I'm totally uninterested in anything that this franchise has to offer me based off of this first impression. So yeah, I would also go number 21.
I knew you would.
In so many words, I just want to say this is that cafeteria public school hamburger that doesn't even have the pleasure of having cheese on it.
Not even a slice of cheese. Just ugh. Just ugh.
Very sad. Very sad. This is not a happy game. But I'm not going to rate it at the bottom, though perfectly justified in being put at the bottom. I'm going to put it at number 16, above Uncharted 1. The reason why I say that is every single game, with the exception of Tomb Raider, I think I rated that higher. Arkham Asylum, Uncharted 1, Prey, DK, Tropical. The reason why I would put Fable at the number 16 is because I didn't have the reaction of, I hate this fucking game, I want to stop playing it now. Uncharted, I had moments like that. Arkham Asylum was the entire game. Prey was a large portion of it. DK Tropical was pretty much the entirety of the game. So at least with Fable, I can't get angry about it. I just am so unpassionate about it.
I would rather be angry. Because that means you at least did something. See, you made a choice. Yeah. Fable, I don't think makes a choice. I think this is just a bland, whatever, nothing game. Let's appease everyone who we possibly can. Let's put in this good and evil morality system so that they feel like there's agency in the game, which there really isn't, because every time you make a choice in the game, which usually just boils down to, do you want to kill this person or not, that person is then exited from the plot anyway. I killed Twin Blade, whatever his name was in the beginning, and I was like, okay, that was weird. I did not kill Whisper. But Whisper never comes back, so I may as well have killed her, and it wouldn't have made a difference.
I killed her.
It doesn't make a difference. She's gone for the rest of the game.
There's no consequences, or the consequences still the same.
Yeah. So let's have just the easiest combat that you can wrap your head around. Mash the X button the whole time, easy peasy. We're gonna give you a magic system that's basically just pretty colors. to just distract your brain. This is a mind-numbingly like bland game, and
it's also
like
it's also
and
just
again,
like
go ahead.
I was gonna say it's just like for a game to have a morality system, it has its fingers so much on the scale of like, hey, but you should be good.
Yeah,
but you should definitely be good.
But like even that, it's like there's no like subtlety to it, or like there's no exploring the scale of good or evil. It's either be saint of all saints or absolute demon spawn.
Black and white. There's no gray.
Yeah. And it's just like the game it says nothing. There's no statement of the game. And at least like Prey had a statement. I don't like Prey. Like I was genuinely like upset at that game. But at least it made me feel something. It made design choices. There was something to be memorable about it. I beat the game last night and I've already forgotten what the ending is.
I'm going to change my position slightly. Just because I did say that Uncharted 1 had moments where I was like, I want to stop playing this game. And that's true. Fable never made me think that. But Uncharted has fun characters and a fun atmosphere.
Yeah,
so
I would at least give it that. Like Uncharted, like
Yeah.
Nathan Drake, Elena Fisher, Victor Sullivan, you remember these people.
Exactly. So 17 position. Just one position down.
Putting it over...
Over Arkham Asylum?
Putting over Arkham Asylum is ridiculous.
That's
not.
ridiculous.
No, it's not.
Connor.
Arkham Asylum blows chunks. It sucks ass. And the only reason why people like it so much is because it's fucking Batman. And just like with Spider-Man, people are brain dead and go, I like
But that gameplay, you have to think a little bit more than this. This is just, let me just touch this button. And like, I'm not even paying attention to what's happening. At least in Batman, it's like, all right, this guy I have to slide under and get him from behind. This guy I've got to hit it with a gadget first. This guy I've got like at least like it tries to change the gameplay up.
And see, just like this is me kind of also jumping into to defend Prey. Like you have to think through your encounters with these enemies, right?
Yeah.
You have to plan a strategy when you see all these things. You see a coffee mug hopping around in the background. That's a mimic right there. I gotta take that out. I gotta use an ability to shut it down or something like that. You have to plan things out in Prey.
Yeah. And even like Tropical Freeze, like that's a game that like we all were like, we were expecting a little bit more from that. But like at the end of the day, Tropical Freeze is a decent game. It's a quality game. There are levels I remember from that game.
Visually stunning. The music is incredible.
Yeah, and like there, like I think there was you had said it in that review of like this is just kind of a generic platformer. Like this is not doing anything necessarily special, but it's not doing anything bad. Fable like not only does nothing special, but it's just there. Like there's nothing memorable about it. Like I can remember a boss fight from Donkey Kong at least, like or I can remember like design ethos in that game and like what it felt to play, how it played, and the general gameplay loop. But here it's just like, man, just run through, press buttons like in the worst way possible.
That's exactly it. Because you see, your points make sense, guys. This other games on this list that are being ranked, in my view, not in the grand view as a whole, the list as a whole, it does, like Prey makes you think. Arkham Asylum makes you think. And those are games where the more I think about it, when I'm playing it, the more I hate them. With Fable, you can just turn your brain off, and then you're just, you're going through a bland experience.
But
you're
again,
not angry.
wouldn't you rather hate?
I don't want to turn my brain off.
Wouldn't you rather like the game like affect your emotional or mental state at all, as opposed to just like being mind-numbingly bland? Like, do you want just like Phil nailed it on the head, man? The cafeteria school burger versus going to Wendy's. Like you may hate Wendy's. You may hate a Wendy's burger, but at least like you know what that is, as opposed to some cafeteria burger where it's just like they threw some like frozen meat on a fucking grill for 2 minutes and then handed it to you and said it was food.
A Wendy's burger that gives you diarrhea is what those other games are, not just a Wendy's burger.
I would rather have diarrhea.
Okay. That says more about...
At least then I can feel something in my asshole.
I can feel something,
You know what? With that, I'm done.
There's a little bit of a thrill. There's a little bit of a thrill when you're running to the bathroom. You're like, I gotta go. I gotta get to the potty.
See.
You guys ever have an experience in the toilet so bad you got to take your shirt off? That's
oh my god.
Everyone does.
No, 100%. The take your shirt off, that was Prey to me. Where I was like, man, but hey, it's better than the shit I took this morning, because the shit I took this morning I'm going to forget by the next day. You know what I mean? Like, listen, man. I had to make a run to we were at Dave & Buster's for my girlfriend's birthday or whatever, and I got hit with some diarrhea. Had to make a run to the bathroom. I'm gonna remember that moment, even though it's not a good memory. I'm gonna remember that moment because it at least left an impression. Fable is the shit I took this morning, not even thinking about it, still scratching my balls. Like
a difference of things you like up your ass, I guess, or coming out of it.
Coming out of my ass. Yeah. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that puts Fable.
This might be one of my favorite conversations we've had.
At number 21, a new bottom of the list.
The conversation should have put it at my position.
Fuck off. No. And you're the only one who thinks Batman Arkham Asylum is a bad game. Like, that's a game. That's a fine game.
The only person I've ever met in my life that thinks that.
I'll be like the Japanese soldiers who are still waiting to fight in the war after Japan already surrendered. I'm still going to keep going.
I think the only game on this list that comes close to, in terms of level of bland, is Tomb Raider. Like, that's the only game that I think comes close to the level of bland. But, like, that still has like some cool set piece, some cool like action. You can do some cool like kill moves and stuff. Like there's something interesting there. Here it's like, man, the first time I took a head off, I was like, oh wow, that's cool, and then nothing else happened, and I was like, all right, this game is
at least in Tomb Raider you have like the exciting like going down the rapids and so it goes into slow mo and you got to aim your gun whatever to blow something
good
up
puzzles.
to
Good
clear
puzzles
your path.
in Tomb Raider, you know,
puzzles too. Yeah. For some of those like optional tombs and stuff. Yeah, it's good. It's good stuff.
Ladies and gentlemen, as you know, this is a game in which we often let the giant wheel of games select what we play during the next month. However, a few months ago, we decided to change it up a little bit. So we're going to alternate the choosing of the game. So 1 month it's going to be the wheel, the next month it's going to be one of us, and then we're going to rotate throughout. We had a set rotation. Connor selected Final Fantasy VII through the month of February, right? And then January. And then through the month of February, we played Fable because of the wheel. And then now, through the month of March, it's Phil's turn. Phil, what are we playing?
Well, Tavin, I'm so glad you asked. And, you know, with us recording this much later because, you know, Tavin had some health issues. He was feeling sicky, so we had to push this review back a week. And thus also their Tavin and Connor's Final Fantasy Rebirth reviews. So,
well, Rebirth is still on track for what the time it was supposed to be.
Oh,
right?
is it? Okay.
Or am I wrong?
Sorry,
I didn't. I thought it was this week.
Oh,
but we're not anymore. But
yeah, we'll do it next week. It's fine.
I honestly, that's the good part about you being sick, because that happened.
You get more time.
Yeah.
And boys, I've already begun because you know I beat Fable at this time like a week and a half ago.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'm 3 badges deep into Pokemon Soul Silver, boys. So you better get on my level. Pokemon Soul Silver is what we're playing.
So so it's Soul Silver, not Soul Silver or / Heart Gold, specifically.
I mean, if you want to go find Heart Gold, you can. But Phil did the benefit of giving us.
I gave you a thumb drive
Silver.
with the.
I thought it had both of them on there. I haven't tapped into that yet. If you couldn't tell.
Yeah, no, I can tell.
I mean, if you like, I can. I mean,
no,
if you want to play Heart Gold, I can get you access to Heart Gold. There is slight differences, like you get slightly different Pokemon in certain places. So
I think we'll be fine.
I'll stick with Soul Silver. Also, it'll be able to have us all on the same level for whatever that might be worth.
I'm curious as to what starter y'all are gonna pick because if you know me, you already know I got my Totodile. It's my boy.
He picked the Totodile.
I don't even know what the starters are.
So I don't know when that review is gonna come up. So, but we'll discuss it off camera for whenever that happens because we've got another round of review season coming up real soon. So we're gonna have to figure that out. But so, ladies and gentlemen, make sure you like and subscribe so that you can stay up on all of the review action we do here on the channel and where we go next with the 2 Penny Game Club. Let us know how you felt about Fable, if you've ever played it, if you played it back in the day, if you played it here with us. Let us know how you felt down in the comments below. Until next time, have a great time. And gentlemen, say goodbye to the people.
See ya.
Bye!